Welcome to Satsang. For those that don't know, Satsang is a Sanskrit word that means a meeting with truth. It's an opportunity to be still and investigate the nature of self and life. And as with meditation, in the most direct way, meditation allows for a space for all that is unreal to fall away. And so this session this morning, we're going to sit for a little bit in a meditative space, and I'll say some words. And then from that, I will share some insight and wisdom about today's topic, which has to do with play. Play in your human experience. And the purest approach to meditation, as far as I'm concerned, is not about doing anything. It's not about accomplishing anything. Really, it's an invitation for you to finally just be, without any effort. The invitation to totally relax and acknowledge that actually you're right here, right now, that this is what's real. And so in that, we don't have to do anything special. We can just acknowledge that in this moment, this is where I am. This is what's happening. And so in this, let's just recognize the most simple thing. And that is that there's a breath happening. And most notably, what I invite you to recognize is the effortless quality of this breath, in that it's breathing through you beyond any personal will, beyond any personal trying. It's almost as if there is a life force that allows you to be here. And in so many ways, you can recognize that this breath is integrated with the present moment, almost as if everything is breathing. You can feel this breath throughout your entire body. As you inhale, it's like inhaling the new. The exhale is letting go of the old. In this simple in and out unfolding has been with you your entire life. In and out. Whether you're thinking about it or not, whether you're trying to breathe or not, it's always happening. And if there's anything that's been constant throughout your whole life, it's this breath. And for myself, what I recognize is a gratitude. For if it was not for this breath that is beyond my control, I wouldn't even be here. And so something in me deeply honors, deeply appreciates the magic of this breath. Even though the mind might not understand why it does what it does, the mind doesn't know when it will end. but yet it's here right now. And so the heart says thank you. And very gently, I invite you to recognize something that I consider quite profound. And that is, there is the reality of this moment right now, intertwined with this breath. It's very present. There is the reality of right now, and then there is this other world created in the mind. The mind creating images, thoughts strung together about yesterday, projected into tomorrow, none of which is even happening. But yet, do you notice the capacity to believe the mind's content in such a way that it thinks it's real? It thinks it's happening. And yet, in this moment, what's real, what's true, what's actually alive, is that there's not really anything happening. And I invite you to see something. The problematic experience of being human. Is that problem in life? Is it what's real right now, here, alive? Or is the problem intertwined in this mental movement about what was or what might be? Throughout your whole life, where has the problem been? Where has the tension been? And do you notice throughout your whole life, regardless of the mind's commentary, you've been rested in the stillness of right now? You've been held in the present moment, only afraid of mental content. And thus is the value of meditation, where we can discern the difference between what is real and what we imagine to be real. And as it's been said for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, connect with the truth, connect with what's real, and you will find an abundance of joy and wellness. You see, in everything we search for as human beings, all of our anxious movements, in everything we think to want happen, everything we think we don't want to happen, do you see that in some way or another, what we're really looking for is a place of stillness where we can finally relax, where we can know all is well? In so many ways, as it's been told time and time again, the only thing you're looking for in this life is the truth of life. A recognition that in this moment you're held, you're supported. The truth of what you are intimately intertwined with the magic of life. And so I invite you to recognize a gratitude for this wellness that's here, even though there will be times when you don't see it. You can recognize that everything you think is a problem isn't actually here right now. In order for you to have a problem, in order for you to be tense, you have to project something into the future or bring in an interpretation from yesterday, and to let all of that fade away, if only for right now, you recognize that this moment is completely whole. In this moment, you're not missing anything. And in the stillness of this, we can hear the bird song. We can see that all of life is dancing. We can see that the opportunity of being live is an opportunity to play, to enjoy the miracle of what you are, to share your passions, to connect with other human beings, and to continue your journey of discovering a deeper depth of this magic we all are. Consequently, falling in love with all of life. And in this space of stillness, just notice it's only the wandering mind that creates any sort of trouble. And as you keep coming back to this moment, you realize there's no trouble at all. And my friends, this will be the truth for the rest of your life. So much so that whatever challenge you go through, whatever fear you face, in some way or another, it's going to point you back to stillness. It's going to invite you to let go. It's going to encourage you to see the truth of what you actually are. For this is the experience that leads one toward the direction of a spiritual path. As they run around in the world trying to capture something, only to watch everything slip through their fingers. Ultimately, they ask themselves, what is this really about? What am I really? And the answer of this can only be heard in silence. The answer to this is not going to be provided by more mental noise. The answer to the only question you will ever have in life is going to be seen on the inside. It's going to be a whisper heard by your heart. It's going to be felt. It's going to be sensed. It's something you will melt into. Can you hear the playful melody in the bird's song? Do you hear the joy in the bird's song? It's almost like the bird is singing songs of gratitude. In the same way you could watch a sunset and all of the colors, all of the light worships all of life. As you can watch nature swing in the wind and it looks as if it's celebrating. My friends, please see that the more you become present to this moment, not distracted by mental images and content, you begin to see how alive life really is. Something in you starts to sing. Something in you says, I want to sing, dance, and play. I want to enjoy. I want to share my love with the world. And maybe in this stillness, you can recognize the invitation where life whispers, yes, my dear, yes, go play. This life is not a problem to be solved. You are not a problem to be solved. You are an expression of divine magic. And life has created a landscape for your heart to shine. My goodness. Do you see the only hindrance to release yourself into this magic is the innocent assumption that there's something wrong with you. More mental content, none of which is actually here. I can promise you this. I don't make many promises, but I'll promise you this. No matter how far you journey in this life, no matter how much time you spend trying to fix yourself, what you're ultimately going to realize is there was nothing ever wrong with you. And you're going to look back and you're going to say, why didn't I just enjoy myself? I took this all so seriously. What the hell? And you say, I wish I can come back and do it again. This time I'm going to play. And you can see very naturally, this touches on the discovery of all human beings that learn to live with more peace, wellness, and joy, is they discover that this life is not serious. It's not a problem to be solved. It's an opportunity. It's a gift. In the same way that if we were all playing a board game together, the moment you thought the points were real, you're no longer fun to play with. You're taking it seriously. It's just a game, man. Relax. It's not real. And then you go back to playing. You say, oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, it's fine. Let's play. And so that's all we're doing today, is remembering. It's not serious. You see, everything in the world that you might perceive to be a problem, something that's serious, do you not see that it's an opportunity for you to share the love that you are? For everything that is perceived to be a problem is only the appearance of a love that's lacking. That is an opportunity for love to shine. And if it wasn't for such appearances of problems, there would be no opportunity. And so thank God for all the apparent problems. This is the monumental difference in perspective. One person looks out into the world and says, there's 10,000 problems. I can't go outside. Another person says, there's 10,000 opportunities to share my heart. I can't wait to go outside. And nothing changes. This is the landscape of this earth, is you get to look out and see what resonates with you. What ignites your heart? Where does love want to flow? And then go play. And in this, you discover the purpose of what you are by getting in touch with the sincerity of your heart that says, what am I here for? What am I here for? And the answer is simple. What do you love? Ta-da! Every human being is designed with some seed of inspiration, some seed of passion that says, this excites me. Wow, I enjoy this. And half the world thinks you're crazy. That's fine. They don't have to enjoy it. It's for you. And in this, you discover the uniqueness of what you are. You as a human being will never be repeated in all of existence. There will never be another year. And so in that, the invitation is to get in touch with you. What's sincere? What's true? And tragically, the human being is so concerned about what somebody else is going to think. How irrelevant are such things? the most innocent confusion. The idea that somebody else liking or not liking what you share has anything to do with you at all. Could you imagine you go into an ice cream shop and you see two flavors, vanilla and chocolate, and you say, I don't want chocolate, I want vanilla. Do you think chocolate gives a shit? You think chocolate says, oh, maybe I should change to vanilla? No. You liking or not liking a flavor has nothing to do with that flavor. You're expressing what you're into. This is the comedy in the fear of being rejected. Nobody can reject you because it's not about you. And in this, you extend a freedom for people to like the flavors that they like and to not like the flavors they don't like. It's fine. It creates diversity. And how free do you become when you realize it's not about you? This is what always cracked me up about racism. It's insane, man. To be bothered because somebody doesn't like your skin color? That's not about me. It's about you, man. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not going so well for you. I'm fine. It's not real. And you see, look at this, please. The more you want people to like you means you won't be yourself. You'll be who you think they want you to be, which means you will reject yourself. What a disaster. In so many ways, I'll say that this is the only pain you're going to experience, is to reject yourself and then blaming somebody else for it. It's like the illusion of wanting your parents to approve of your life choice. Then you think, well, what do my parents want me to do? That's irrelevant. What are you here to do? Because you see what happens? If you want somebody else's approval, then you get afraid of not getting their approval. And what happens if you move in this life with fear? You become stressed. Do you enjoy yourself? No. Do you feel alive? No. Sooner or later, for the one who wants to be free, you're going to have to learn to stand on your own authority in complete love and to know that you don't need anything from anyone. You give everyone back to themselves. You say, you're free. You're free to like me. You're free to not like me. You're free to be you. And it's only, and hear this, it's only when you can allow every other human being to be free that you can be free. To truly be free in this world, you have to give away freedom first. You have to give it away. Anything that you give away in this world, you give it to yourself. My Lord, I wonder to what depth you hear that. Right? Because you can hear these things. You're like, oh, that's a cute spiritual phrase. No, wake up. See how deep this goes. When you share love, who feels that love? You do. So who are you sharing it with? When you share hate, who feels that hate? Who do you think you're hating? Human beings, we are so cute in the depth of innocent ignorance. We are so unaware of the magic and the power we contain within ourselves. And so I invite you to question, if I was so free to truly be what I am, what might that look like? If I really didn't need anyone to approve of me, what might my life look like? What love would I share with the world? See, understand the trepidation in being human, that anxiety, that worry, all of it is an innocent misunderstanding about what's real. Right? You could have this anxiety that says, ooh, I want to share my heart, but I don't know what they're going to think. As if that's a real thing. And to truly see that it's not a real thing, you're no longer concerned. You share your heart anyway. And to see the depth of this truth in life, again, not something to believe in, not some spiritual idea, but the truth of life, to see that this is the landscape, it becomes quite obvious that you are here to play. You are here to honor this miracle that's breathing through you. And the most impactful way you can honor this miracle is to share this miracle with the world, which is to share the miracle of you, which is to let love flow. And the doorway to this is a radical self-honesty. Where you have to be willing to look so deeply inside of yourself and see where you give your power away, where you reject yourself. And yes, it can be painful to see that, but it's required. Because it will not heal unless you're willing to look at it. And in your willingness to look at it, you'll see that all of your reasons for hiding are not reasons at all. And thus you don't need to hide. Thus you will be healed. And whatever the journey is, wherever you find yourself, the only thing you're going to run into is yourself. And because of this, we might as well look right now. There's no escaping this. You cannot escape the truth of life. You can hide, but you will keep running into it. And the truth of life is that you are free to be you. And what you will keep running into are the ways that you don't allow yourself to be free. Any questions? See, part of the challenge in being human is that we are believing mental content. You ever notice this? We get tricked by the mind. A great example of that is this morning. I was at home and I decided, I think I'm going to walk to Impact House. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, I need an hour to get there. And so slightly there's this rush inside of me. Okay, get ready, it's almost time. And so I leave at 10, thinking, okay, I'm going to get there right on time. And it's funny because as I'm having my walk, there's still this play of, am I going to be on time? Or, don't stop and do it, just go, get there. And then I get here, and then I'm sitting, getting ready to go. And then Roddick's not here. I'm like, where's everybody at? And you can see how the mind starts immediately creating problems. Like something's going wrong. Nothing's happening. You see, this is the discovery you're always going to have. It's not what I thought it was. The mind said something was going wrong. And you find out, actually, it's perfect. I could have relaxed the whole time. And see, this can be a playful exploration, not an excuse to judge yourself. It's like you see the insanity of, oh my goodness, that was adorable. And it's this lightheartedness, this playfulness that really helps you integrate the insight and the discovery. Because if you judge yourself for it, it's like you're pushing it away. You're compounding the pain. And I see this in stillness, that whatever the mind thinks is happening, it's not actually happening. And I mean this on both sides of the spectrum, from the pride and the fall. Right? Oh, this means I'm better than. No. Oh, this means I'm less than. No. You see how the mind does that? Like something's happening or you think it's going well. Oh, this means I'm good. And if you think that thought, you'll believe the thought that says, I think I'm bad. And none of them are true. What's true? I am. Whole and complete. Not too much, not enough. And so you can have this openness within yourself to look at yourself, to see where you reach for the pride, where you're pained by the fall. Again, playfully. It's almost like, where do I take myself seriously? Where do I think what happens in life means something about me? It doesn't mean anything about you. To say that it means something about you is to say that it can touch you. The only thing that can touch you is your belief in it. And ultimately, you'll find out it's not even true. This invites such an amazing relaxation. It's like, oh wow, this isn't serious at all. Holy shit. Because you see, seriousness is another story that thinks it means something about you. And we project this seriousness outside of ourselves onto other things, when really you think it's about you. And I love this lightheartedness that's just so incredibly open for life to be life. It says, let's find out. It's a great story. Have you guys heard the story of the Chinese farmer? Have you? Yeah, you've been in that song. You haven't heard it? Okay. So there's a story of a Chinese farmer way back in the day. He lives in this little village and he has a farm. And on this farm, he has several horses. And in this time, the horses were really valuable. Like if you had horses, you were doing pretty good. And he had 3 horses. And one day as he's out tending to his horses, he forgets to lock the gate. And one of the horses gets out, takes off into the wilderness. And when they take off, they're not coming back. They're gone. And so all the other villagers, they heard that this farmer lost a horse. And they came around and they said, "Oh, dear farmer, we're so sorry you lost your horse. Isn't this terrible?" They asked the farmer. And the farmer said, maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. I don't really know. And the villagers were kind of perplexed. It's like, pick a side, man. And so the villagers went home, and then 2 days later, the farmer sees his horse in the distance running back, bringing with him 3 wild horses. And so now the farmer has doubled his worth. And of course the villagers hear about this. And they all come around. "Oh my goodness, we heard the news. Isn't this fantastic?" And the farmer says, maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. I don't really know. So the villagers left, still complexed. And then the next day, the farmer's son is training one of these wild horses. And he falls off and breaks his leg. And of course, when you break your leg, you can't work. You're not really good for anything, so maybe you lose money and all of these things. The villagers hear about this. They come running around, bringing baskets of fruit and whatnot. "We heard your son broke his leg. Isn't this just a tragedy?" And the farmer said, "Maybe it is, but maybe it's not. I don't really know." The farmer's still thinking, or the villagers still thinking the farmer's crazy. They leave, and then next week, the army comes into town, recruiting all the young men for war. Naturally, they see this young boy with a broken leg. "We can't use you," and they let him be. The villagers came around. So the story goes. You see that this is the truth? When something happens, the mind is so quick to decide what it is. Is it positive or is it negative? Do you see how all of your negative experiences have transformed into positive ones? And many of your positive experiences have transformed into negative ones? It's almost like saying it's both. And this is the epic balance in life, where the negative is also the positive. And so can you find that place of stillness in you that knows of a divine connection, a divine symphony in all things? That this is the same as this. And so I can let it be. I don't need to cling. I don't need to push away. I can bow. And you see, it's this deep internal knowing in your core. And again, it's not so much a mental thing. It's almost as if your soul recognizes the truth. It's almost as if your heart recognizes there's nothing to capture in the world. There's nothing to define. There is nothing that is only positive, and there is nothing that is only negative. In this, in a very real way, you see that you cannot get it wrong. And you cannot get it right. And so you move in your most natural movement. What's most sincere? What's real? It reminds me of another illustration where imagine yourself out hiking one day in the wilderness and you come across this snake who has a mouse trapped in a corner. There's no way out for the mouse. The snake's about to pounce. And in this particular situation, the snake is pregnant. And if the snake doesn't eat, the babies die. And also the mouse just gave birth. So around the corner, she has her family she's trying to get home to. Do you see your conundrum here? It's like, I can help the mouse get back to the family. Of course, if I do that, the snake dies and the unborn babies die. Or I can help the other. Or I can do nothing. You see, in a playful way, you have three options. Do you see how there's not a right or wrong one? You can't mess it up. You see, the one who was raised with a pet mouse saves the mouse. The one who was raised with a pet snake, they grew up watching snakes eat mice. They're excited. And the curious one, like myself, says, let's see what happens. You see, the one that would save the mouse despises the one that would save the snake. You're a terrible human being. Snakes are disgusting. The one that would save the mouse looks at the person who would do nothing, says, you're a terrible human being. You just stand there. Don't get involved. It's despicable. You see how all of this commentary tries to make you right and other people wrong? In order to think that you're right, you have to think somebody else is wrong. How's that feel? Not good. Do you see, if anything, it feels somewhat self-righteous, like a pride, which comes before what? The fall. It always will. And we've experienced this in our own lives. And so in this, as you find yourself in such a situation, you can't even premeditate it. It's not, what am I going to do? It's, let's find out. Right? Let's get there and see. A lot of times people ask me, well, what would you do in this situation? I have no clue. Do you see that question implies there's a right thing to do and a wrong thing to do? So you've already missed the point. The point I'm pointing to is forget the question and be present right now. Come home and trust tomorrow to tomorrow that when you get there, you will know, rather than getting there and bringing yesterday's answer with you out of fear that you could get it wrong. This is the spontaneous life, is to show up, see what happens. And in this, you can allow the sincerity of what you are, which is what I love about the nature in my work, is I get to show up without a plan, without knowing what I'm going to talk about. Let's see what life wants to say. Let's see what's sincere. And in this, you see how free you are. you see how free everyone is. Do you see in this you can just love everyone? You can love the one that would save the snake. You can love the one that would do nothing. It's like, oh, I see what you're doing. You're doing your part. Thank you. Thank you. And that's what creates the dance. That's what creates the show. It's deeply honoring both the daytime and the nighttime. Seeing that they both have an equal right to be. They're connected. They're the same. As it's daytime for us right now, it's nighttime for others. Ta-da. Yeah, that's kind of it, isn't it?
I really liked your story this morning that you shared, because it's like so funny to me, because I had my own but quite similar experience this morning actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's Sunday, it's supposed to be super chill day. It is super chill day actually. So I wake up and it's like waking up to paradise. Like everything is completely fine.
Yeah.
Lying in my bed, a lot of space, just everything is just quiet, silent, all's good. But slowly, I just see myself drifting out of paradise into some kind of game going on.
Yeah.
And I wasn't fully aware of it, but basically what happened to me was immediately I had this thought that I need to send message to my friend. I sent message to my friend. Then it leads to another thought. Suddenly I had this feeling, which was to go to the park for the satsang. Plenty of time, like 2 hours, 3 hours of time. Go to the park, walk a bit, meditate, come here, super chill, move into satsang.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But then I just got sidetracked. Other things, video leads to another video.
Yeah.
This, and I'm looking at time. I'm like, shit, I don't have time. I want to make breakfast quickly, so I'm suddenly running to make breakfast. I'm not enjoying the breakfast because I'm thinking about going to park to be on time for satsang. So I finish the porridge. I'm running and walking to the park. All these things just getting entangled one by one. It's my mom's birthday and I feel suddenly guilty for calling her late. It's already 11, you know, and I'm like, what the heck? And it sort of made me realize how almost like this small example of the morning is the whole example of person's life.
Yeah.
Pretty much. All good. But we just get lost.
Yeah.
And entangled and like stressed out.
Yeah.
Just to come here again and just sit down and breathe, I realize it's all fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, and so included in the fine is all of that nonsense. Right? It's like you didn't do it wrong. It's a comedy show, man. And see, you don't lose anything by going through that experience, right? See, there's no judgment. That's the thing that we really have to see, is that you have the human experience and you see it's insane, but adorably so. That's the real discovery. It's not, oh, I'm going to be present all the time. No, you see the impossibility of it, that this magic is too vast. We're going to get lost. It's part of the play. And the real liberation, or if we might say something called transcendence, it's the release of the judgment. Even though you were judging yourself in that experience, when you recognize, then the judgment falls. Because you see in a very real way, that's over. It's not here anymore, right? It has no impact on now, on life. And the only thing you can experience about it right now is how you interpret it. You don't actually bring that experience with you. You bring your interpretation of the experience, which is not the experience. And so in this moment, we can see that there's 1,000 different ways to interpret it. Which one's right? None of them. It's like it's gone. It's empty. It's forgiven. Lord.
It's so true. It really was to some judgment
Yep.
implied in all this.
Yep.
It made it so heavy. Like the guilt,
Yep.
and rush, the feeling of rush.
Yep.
And just running and it was all happening inside.
Yep.
And it's crazy. And it made me realize most of the time, if not all the time, it is like that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And here's the crux. And this is the crux that the human being doesn't want to see. There's something within you trying to take credit. Right? It's saying that I'm doing it. That's the self-judgment. Right? I'm doing it, and therefore I see I'm doing it wrong. The deep insight is to see that you're not even doing it. It's just happening. Right? You look at your whole life experience to look backwards. Can you see that it's just been happening? Like you really haven't been doing anything. It's almost like your decision to be here today isn't really your decision. It's all of life's decision that you're here today. Look at the 10 billion elements in your life that allows for you to be here right now. Do you see how that includes things that aren't just you? It includes every other human being on the planet. It includes all the butterflies. It includes everything. And so in that, there's not like a one person that's deciding where you should be, what you should be doing. It's life. And then you try and take credit for it, which is the pride, which then leads to the fall, which is judgment. Because you trying to take credit for it creates an image of how it should be, what you should be doing. And then that fails every time. You start realizing that, holy shit, life is living me in the same way that life is breathing through you. Imagine taking credit for your breath. Do you realize how stressed out you would be? What if I forget? You couldn't even fall asleep at night. I might forget. Setting your alarm every 5 minutes just to make sure you're still doing it right. And that's what we do with our lives. We have an internal alarm every 5 minutes to check in to make sure we're still doing it right. You're not even doing it. Relax. And that's what creates the agitation. Is this like, what's that? It's like it's like an agitation. Da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm scared that I'm going to do it wrong.
Like self-consciousness.
Yep. And the most profound realization, again, not just mental, but to see that there aren't 10,000 pieces. There's one. It's all of life. It's breathing through you. And you are the consciousness that's observing the show. It's like it's very similar to this. Imagine you're watching a forest dance, like all the elements. Do you see how you are the observer of that dance, right? It's happening whether you want it to or not, right? The lion's going to rip apart a deer, whether you want it to or not. The bugs are going to go to war, whether you want them to or not. Trees are going to fall over. Do you see that your experience of that symphony is how you interpret what's going on? And it's the same with the symphony of your being. This is the destiny, that the character of you will be the character of you, but your experience will be how you see that character. Do you see that one as divinely inspired? That everything that comes through you is of the divine? Whether it's liked or not? Do you hear me? Whether it's liked or not. Because look, you could look at the forest and say the tree fell over. The tree's being a dick. but it's divinely inspired. You could say the leaves are falling and they're making a mess, but it's divinely inspired. I challenge you to find anything in life that's not divinely inspired, whether you like it or not. And in this, you'll see everything in you is divinely inspired, whether you like it or not. And look at the love that shows itself for all of human beings, for all of life, where you look at them regardless of how they show up, because you see they're not doing it, it's the divine. And you say, I see you. And you see this is the love you bring into the world. I see what you really are, and therefore I love you. Tell me that doesn't transform the world. Yep. Welcome to planet Earth. Oh my goodness. Love my job.
Where can we find you? Is it possible to find you on internet or
Yeah.
YouTube or?
Yeah, it's like right now there's people watching live. Whenever I give talks, they're usually live.
Okay.
And then I live here in Portugal. I'm moving to Cascais next week. And then I have weekly meetings at my house, a lot of which will be live streams. I've got books on the internet, lots of videos, lots of audio. So if anything, go to my website, inlightconnect.com, and become a free member. And that gives you a bunch of links as far as where you can find a bunch of stuff.
Okay. And what's the name of the website?
In Light
Okay.
Connect.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we eat food? All right. Thanks, guys.